What comes to your mind when someone mentions monetization in an online game? Is it loot boxes, microtransactions, limited time items, expensive yearly DLCs, in-game cosmetics that you can only buy if you have a subscription? Well, if any of those things came to your mind, you're in the right place. Hi everyone, I'm Azura. I'm just some random person who loves Elder Scrolls, has a YouTube channel, and has incredibly mediocre video editing skills. As the title suggests, I'm going to be taking a closer look into Zenimax Online Studios and their various scandals and antics that have happened over the past few years. For those of you already subscribed, welcome back, and you're probably very familiar with my coverage of Crown Crates and the Crown Store in Elder Scrolls Online. But for you new viewers, and please do not click away, I'm going to be looking at a general overview of Zenimax Online Studios and giving lots of context regarding all the things I discuss. And I hopefully can make it understandable for the average person who hasn't played the game. Also, a disclaimer, I am someone who has spent money on this game in the past, probably more than I would have, wanted to. But yeah, guilty as charged. So the intent of this video is not to shame people for spending money in The Elder Scrolls Online. It's to show Zenimax's marketing schemes and how they can basically trick anybody into buying things and spending money. So let's get right into it. And before we do, if you enjoy this video or agree with what I have to say, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can become an adoring fan today.
By Azura, by Azura, by Azura!
So who is Zenimax Online Studios? Zenimax, or ZOS for short, is a video game studio located in Maryland, USA, specializing in massive multiplayer online games. They are the sole developers for The Elder Scrolls Online. Many of you are probably familiar with Zenimax Media, which is the holding company of multiple game developers, notably Bethesda, Arcane Studios, ID Software, of course Zenimax Online Studios, and many more. It is important to note that Zenimax Media was obtained by Microsoft in 2021 for about $8.1 billion, meaning that all of its subsidiaries are now owned by Microsoft. This will be important later. Zenimax Online Studios was formed by Zenimax Media in 2007 and is led by game director Matt Fryer. Zenimax has only released one game so far, that being The Elder Scrolls Online, or ESO. There are rumors of new projects in the works, and Zenimax have stated they are working on a new AAA IP set to release sometime in the future, however, very little information is available. Alongside Matt Fryer, a couple notable figures at Zenimax are the community manager Gina Bruno and the creative director Rich Lambert, who will both be mentioned in later parts of this video. I would also like to preface this by stating that the estimated yearly revenue for Zenimax is $162.7 million US. Keep that in the back of your mind for this video, but remember it is just an estimate, so we don't know what the actual numbers are. So what is The Elder Scrolls Online? Hopefully many of you have played it before or are fans of the Elder Scrolls series in general, but if you don't know, ESO is an MMORPG that was initially released in 2014 for PC and 2015 for Xbox and PlayStation. ESO is probably most notable for its rocky start in 2014 and this for some reason. Even if you've never played ESO in your life, there is an incredibly high chance that you've seen this clip or just this dude in general because for some unknown reason it just blew up across the internet. This clip is from the cinematic announcement trailer for High Isle, which was the chapter that was released in 2022. I think it got popular because this guy's so epic badass and shit, but honestly, whatever you do, just don't play ESO for this guy. You might think he looks cool and you're like, oh my god, I want to play ESO because this guy looks so badass. Trust me, he's not. It was the biggest disappointment in Elder Scrolls history since the release of the Horse Armor DLC for Oblivion. Anyways, ESO boasts a huge open world with thousands of quests, PvE content, PvP content, player housing, exploration, and more. I won't go into too much detail regarding the game itself because I'm sure many of you know what an MMORPG is and probably can kind of guess what the game entails already. And if you're curious to learn more, just go watch one of the millions of reviews out there. In recent years, Zenimax has been trying to market ESO as a single-player MMO, probably to attract fans of the previous Elder Scrolls games. I bring this up as it's definitely a huge contributor to many issues within the game and the community, and you will understand why soon. It wasn't always this way, however. Before release and at launch, ESO was marketed as the PvP MMO, and Zenimax was very keen to promote their massive PvP zone that spans almost all of Cyrodiil, as well as their 2 mega servers, which meant that you'd be playing with way more people at all times, as opposed to other MMOs which have multiple smaller servers. The development team really wanted to stress the appeal of the mega servers, with Matt Fryer saying that they wanted to create a modern social experience. With friend systems and mega servers, we put a lot of effort into making sure it's a modern, socially connected game. However, it was clear that they were still trying to cater to the hardcore Elder Scrolls fans from the start, and in an interview before release, he went on to explain that the main quest will be completely solo, and tried to retain that typical Elder Scrolls feel by making sure that you alone are the hero of Tamriel. Zenimax was very aware of the backlash or criticism that taking the single-player Elder Scrolls universe that millions of players came to know and love, and turning it into a massive multiplayer experience would receive. Initially, there were many rumors that it would just be World of Warcraft with an Elder Scrolls skin on it, and that they were just trying to milk the franchise. In another interview before release, Matt Fryer wanted to assure potential fans that this was not the case by stating, "It is important to stress that the dev team doesn't view this game as a mere cash grab MMO hatchet job, but that it's a large project designed by and for fans with the series legacy and lore firmly in mind."
That one didn't age quite so well.
Well, Matt, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but actually, yeah, no, we'll get to that soon. The release came and went in April of 2014, and it had mixed reception. Over the years, however, I think more people tried the game and came to love it as they added new expansions, features, lore, and more. I will not delve too deeply into the history of the game itself over the years, however we know there are millions of players who have enjoyed the game at some point in its almost 10-year lifetime. This is something Zenimax is very proud of to this day, and they continuously boast their 24 million player base whenever they can. This, however, doesn't mean there's 24 million people playing consecutively, like, obviously. And in the past year or more, players have speculated that the population is actually dwindling. Just after the release of the Necrom chapter in 2023, I collated my own data on this graph from multiple sources that project the possible player numbers. I won't go too deeply into this. If you want more info, watch the full video. I will drop the link in the description. This decline is due to many reasons, such as the significant loss of players in the endgame PvE community and also the PvP community, as Zenimax focused on more single-player content over the years. But another contributor I suspect would be the increase in monetization. I feel that it's important to mention the game's subscription price. Upon launch in 2014, you needed to purchase the game and pay a $15 monthly subscription fee to play. This mandatory subscription was eventually dropped in 2015 and was turned into the optional subscription called ESO Plus, which gives players access to all currently released DLC and previous chapters or expansions for those unaware of game terminology. ESO Plus does not include the current year's expansion for free, however. You need to buy this yourself. You also receive some free crowns, the virtual currency that you can buy, along with many other quality of life features such as the craft bag. It generally is accepted by the player base that ESO Plus is almost a must-have if you're thinking about investing some time into the game. The game itself is always trying to sell you items with constant advertisements on the launcher, if you don't have the Steam version or play on console, and the Crown Store announcements popping up as the very first thing you see when you log in. Microtransactions are always pushed in your face from the get-go. They have a Crown Store showcase at the beginning of every month, showing the players what they'll be able to spend their money on for the rest of the month. The player base eats this stuff up, and it's incredibly alarming how indoctrinated the players are when it comes to spending money. So now that you guys have a general understanding of ESO, let's go take a look at what a greedy company can do to ruin an MMO. So just as I mentioned, there is a virtual currency in ESO called crowns, which you purchase with real money. Crowns can be used in-game in the crown store to purchase various items, many being cosmetic. However, you can purchase some quality of life items and upgrades. ESO has generally been heralded by the community for not being pay to win. However, many would say it's pay to look cool. For those of you not familiar with the game, you may think this is not a massive issue, as most things are just optional cosmetics. However, I will get into the reason why this is an issue a bit later in the last portion of the video, and it has to do with how the in-game reward system works itself. The game did not actually launch with a cash shop. It was added in 2015 with the Tamriel Unlimited update when the game came to console and when they dropped the mandatory subscription fee. Of course, every MMO has a cash shop, it's just something that's inevitable with the genre. Initially, it started out small, only offering cosmetics, minor upgrades, and consumable items such as potions, food, and drink, etc. Over time, the amount of items offered grew. I would love to detail every addition to the Crown Store, but for the sake of this video, I won't. The contrast between 2015 and 2024 is very apparent, which is to be predicted. Today, the Crown Store looks very different. There are many things you can buy, and of course, this is a perfect example of the increase in monetization in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, there's nothing inherently wrong with the Crown Store, it's inevitable, and there's nothing wrong with buying cosmetics or quality of life upgrades. The problem that many players have been complaining about for the past few years is that there's been more and more items added to the Crown Store and very little items available for free, meaning you can earn them by playing the game. I'll actually be touching on the statistics around this a bit later in the video. No matter what your opinion might be on the Crown Store or cash shops in MMOs, there is no doubt that there has been an insane push on making sales through microtransactions in the past couple of years or so. A good example of this is the excessive pricing of items that seem somewhat minor or are otherwise easily acquired in-game via gameplay. I only want to bring up a couple examples of this. The first example, which could be seen as a ploy to trick new players, is charging for consumable items that can easily be crafted in-game or be bought from other players with gold. A lot of these consumables can just be easily obtained by just playing the game. A perfect example is soul gems. They're charging 400 crowns or almost $5 for 10 of these things in the store. Everyone who's played ESO knows how easy these are to get, and if you've not played, let me just say that almost every player is probably drowning in hundreds if not thousands of these things. That is why it's stupid that they even charge for them in the first place. Another example of this is the starter pack that they offer in the Crown Store. This pack has a bunch of consumables and other items that I already mentioned, and they're super easy to obtain. This thing is specifically marketed towards new players who don't know better, and I can say it definitely works. It is also worth mentioning that a lot of these consumable items are given away for free as daily login rewards. Another good example of this is buying a werewolf or vampire bite. They charge 1,500 crowns, or about $15 US for these, which, again, if you've played the game, you know that other players give these things out for free all of the time. There are quite a few other things that I could bring up, however, these are a couple of the bigger offenders in my eyes when it comes to trying to take advantage of new players. I talk about this more in depth in this video here, and again I will leave a link in the description.
Well met, and good fortune to you. Listen to Bakruti. Rewards wait within the crates. You have no crates right now, but you can purchase one if you'd like to begin.
And speaking of previous topics I have covered in past videos, no video of mine would be complete without mentioning crown crates. For those of you who are unaware, crown crates are the premium loot boxes available in ESO. The community has vastly different opinions on these loot boxes, which basically fall under the definition of gambling. On one end, you have players who spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on them, and on the other end, you have players who hate them and wish for them to be removed. Like me. Crown crates were first added to the game in 2017, and they come out in seasons, meaning that certain kinds are only available for a limited time. These loot crates predominantly contain cosmetic items such as mounts, skins, outfits, accessories, and more. There are also consumable items like XP scrolls, potions, poisons, etc. Basically, trash that kind of fills the rest of the rewards. Each crate gives you 4 guaranteed cards, or items, with a chance to get a 5th bonus card. Of course, there are different tiers of rewards, and these are split into 7 different tiers. I'll go over their drop rates as disclosed by Zenimax themselves. The first tier is common with a 98% drop rate. The next tier is fine with a 72% drop rate. The next is superior with an 86% drop rate. Zenimax has stated that every crate has a guarantee of containing at least 1 superior reward or higher. The next tier is epic with a 21% drop rate. I just want to point out the huge numerical gap between epic and the lower tiers, by the way. The third highest tier is legendary with a 14% drop rate. The second highest tier is Apex with only a 2% drop rate. The top tier is Radiant Apex, and Zenimax does not disclose the chances for this tier. They get around this by stating that some crown crates contain Radiant versions of Apex rewards, meaning that they technically fall into the same tier as Apex, but they're just shiny cards basically. However, thankfully due to the player base creating an add-on for the game that collected drop rate data, we can speculate what the actual drop chance for these Radiant Apex items is. According to the data collected from over 500,000 crates opened by players, we have seen the data saying that there is between a 0.19% and a 0.31% chance of getting a Radiant Apex reward. Yes, that's right, not a 1% drop chance, not a 0.5% drop chance. That is a 0.31% drop chance at best. Of course, since this is player-collated data, it's only speculative, but I would not be surprised if the actual drop chance is somewhere between 0.25 and 0.5%. These rates are pretty goddamn ass low, and since Zenimax has found a loophole and doesn't want to disclose the drop rates, it just makes loot boxes feel even more scummy and predatory. I would also like to mention that on top of the drop rates of the 7 different tiers of items, there are different drop chances for different items in the same tier group. So that means you're more likely to get an experience scroll over a costume, mount, or other more desirable item. I could go on and on about the data behind the loot boxes, but I've already done that in a few previous videos, and again, I will link the playlist below.
There are many wonderful rewards that a crate could contain. In the gem store, you can see this magnificent selection and even buy rewards with the gems you collect.
To help people who may not have played ESO understand these loot boxes, I also want to explain the exclusive currency that the crates reward you with. Crown gems are the currency provided by trading in consumable items that you don't want, or by getting duplicate items in the crates. It is incredibly important to note that you cannot convert most items into crown gems, and you will only get gems if you receive a duplicate of that item. These crown gems can then be used to buy specific items in the crates that you may want. So let's say that you don't get the mount that you wanted by opening the crates, however, you got enough gems to buy it outright. There is no other way of getting crown gems outside of buying crown crates. Another issue with crown gems is that the exchange rate for duplicate items is incredibly low. For example, a Radiant tier item costs 400 gems. If you happen to receive a duplicate of a Radiant item, you will only get 132 gems for the duplicate. This disparity is the same across the reward tiers, meaning that any duplicate that you get will only give you 1/3 of its total cost in gems. I'm sure you can imagine why this may be a complaint from players. With low drop rates of desirable items, players are less likely to get what they want, and then they'll end up buying more crown crates just to earn enough crown gems so they can buy the stuff that they actually want. I have done some data collection myself and calculated a very rough estimate on how many crates you need to buy to get enough gems to buy like the top tier items, the Radiant Apex rewards. I found that if you wanted to buy the most expensive Radiant mount, you need 2,500 gems. My data collection gave a rough estimate of 200 gems per 25 crates, so you would need to buy about 300 crates to get 2,500 gems. That is about 100,000 crowns, basically, or $750 US at the standard crown price. Even if my calculations are slightly off, players would still need to spend hundreds of dollars, at least, on crown crates to get enough gems to buy that one item. So if you're already thinking, damn, these crates are bad enough as it is, well, it gets worse. Do you guys remember how I mentioned the different reward tiers? Well, in the past year they decided to move some types of rewards from lower tiers to higher tiers, meaning that these items now have an even lower drop chance and cost more crown gems to buy. Since this has only happened recently, I think this is a perfect example that shows just how greedy Zenimax are getting. Making certain items harder to get means people will buy more crates, and for them that means more money.
Money! Money! Money!
There are a handful of other things that I would love to mention in this segment about crown crates, but I've already touched on them in the past, so again, just check the playlist for more info. Before we wrap this all up, however, I wanted to mention the advertisements for crown crates. Zenimax shamelessly runs ads on social media platforms specifically peddling their loot boxes. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not aware of many other game companies that blatantly advertise their in-game gambling. I also saw a recent study conducted by Leon Zhao about a social media ad from live service video games regarding disclosure of loot boxes and in-game purchases. This study was concerned with the potential of regulations not being adhered to and noted that these games are also being advertised to children, something that I have not touched on but is a very valid criticism and concern. Ads for The Elder Scrolls Online were part of the data collection, and the study found that for every ad that was run on Meta social media platforms, they all disclosed in-game purchases and loot boxes. I actually looked through the raw data collected and found some screenshots of the ads, which you're seeing on screen right now. These ads are blatantly advertising gambling, and they all include the words "limited time only." This is probably Zenimax's favorite phrase, along with "buy crowns." Again, I see this as more evidence of how much importance Zenimax puts on monetization instead of actually trying to sell the game itself. Another point I want to bring up is the houses available on the Crown Store. Player homes and decorating is a very popular pastime for many players. There are quite a few houses that you can buy with in-game currency, however there are many exclusive limited time houses that cost an upwards of 15,000 crowns, which is about 120 US dollars. Yeah, that's correct, there are houses that cost more than 100 real life dollars. And these houses are typically only available for purchase for a couple of weeks and then they're gone. The opportunity to buy some of these houses is so rare that they will not come back to the Crown Store for years on some occasions. So I'm sure how many of you can see how Zenimax is playing into the feelings of FOMO, or fear of missing out. I've seen many players, friends of mine, and even myself fall into this trap. Zenimax is very good at manufacturing scarcity for digital items. It's not only houses that give feelings of FOMO, there are many other items that don't come back to the Crown Store for years. This happens with a huge amount of things, crown crates included. Remember earlier how I mentioned crown crates come out in seasons? Well, they're only available for about 3 months until the new season is released. A year or more later, Zenimax might bring back old seasons of crown crates for a week or two, but then they're gone again. This marketing tactic is downright predatory, meaning that players will feel more inclined to buy more crown crates so they can get the items that they want. Zenimax knows exactly what they're doing, and it is downright so extreme that they constantly put countdowns on items in the Crown Store, showing you how long you have to get them until they disappear for another few years. Now that we're back on the topic of crates, let's talk about a somewhat recent addition that they added to the game in 2021. The Endeavor system is another way of being able to buy items from crown crates. For those of you who have not played ESO, Endeavors are a currency that you can earn from doing daily and weekly tasks. Most of these tasks are incredibly easy, and the premise was that you would be able to earn them through natural gameplay. This means that you probably wouldn't have to put too much effort into the tasks or go too far out of your way from what you normally do to get these things. You can use your endeavors like crown gems to be able to purchase items outright from the crown crates. Doesn't sound that bad, right? Well, it's definitely a slow grind. So slow in fact that you will not even be able to earn enough endeavors within a 3-month crown crate season to be able to purchase the more expensive items from them. Most players end up saving their endeavors for months or years to be able to afford one mount from the crown crates. Again, I did the math on this, and I will link my full breakdown in the description. The average amount of endeavors that you can earn a week is around 500. Let's use the example of the Radiant Apex tier rewards again like we did with the crown gems. The most expensive Radiant Apex mount you can buy is 16,000 endeavors. At the rate of about 500 a week, it would take you about 32 weeks to earn enough endeavors to buy those items. That's about 7.3 months or more. So, if a crate season lasts 3 months and you don't have enough endeavors saved up, it's literally impossible to buy the Radiant Apex item that you want. So, of course, you can probably see where Zenimax is going with this. If you can't buy the items from the loot boxes with endeavors, you have to buy the crown crates and gamble for them, or hope you get enough crown gems to buy it outright. Some players have criticized this move while others have welcomed it. I appreciate the sentiment and have actually used endeavors to buy cosmetic items myself because I don't buy crown crates. However, I speculate the reason why they added this system in the first place was from a legal standpoint. 2 reasons why: Microsoft and legislation. Remember how I said Microsoft acquired Zenimax in early 2021? Microsoft has a policy for all of their games stating that all available items and loot boxes must be earnable through gameplay. Endeavors were added in 2021 after the Microsoft acquisition. So you earn endeavors through gameplay and you can buy loot box rewards with them. Therefore, they're Microsoft compliant. And for legislation, some countries have laws around loot boxes. Loot boxes are banned in some countries if you can't get the items for free through gameplay. Some of you may be aware that loot boxes in video games are completely illegal in Belgium, and that includes crown crates. Other countries around the world are looking at introducing bans to loot boxes, and Zenimax is obviously trying to avoid legal action by introducing the Endeavor system. Love endeavors or hate them, there is definitely more of a nuance to their addition than many people suspect, and Zenimax did not add this system out of the goodness of their heart. Alright, let's talk about crown sales. Yep, that's right, we are not even done yet. Okay, like I mentioned earlier, crowns are the virtual currency that you can buy with real money and use in-game in the crown store. Zenimax is always pushing players to buy crowns. I mean, hell, it seems like it's everywhere. Zenimax sells crowns in different amounts, starting from 750 crowns for $7.99 US to 21,000 crowns for $149.99 US. Of course, any MMO is going to have a virtual currency. However, the issue I want to bring up is the lack of sales on crowns. Zenimax only does 3 crown sales a year. Yes, that's right, crowns only go on sale 3 times a year. They do 1 sale in April, 1 in August, and 1 in December. Discounts on selected packs range from 20% to 40% maximum. The community has complained about this for years for the lack of sales on crowns, and it's led to a hoarding culture. Many players specifically wait for the crowns to go on sale and drop hundreds of dollars on them all at once so they don't have to buy them at full price. Again, I think this is part of Zenimax's FOMO marketing tactic. Zenimax has to be making a killing off crowns. I mean, remember their estimated revenue is like $162.7 million? I'm not someone who dabbles in other MMOs or online games with virtual currency, so I would be curious to hear about how often other MMOs put their virtual currency on sale. Let me know in the comments if this is something that's out of the ordinary. The most recent controversy with the crown store is also worth touching on briefly. Well, the most recent when I've been working on this video. If I don't do a jump cut to yet another controversy right now, that's probably a good thing.
Woo! Yeah, baby!
So the newest big brain move by the Zenimax marketing team was to add an item to the crown store that could only be purchased if you paid for the ESO Plus subscription. Yeah, they're making you pay money so you can spend money. This actually garnered some attention from outside the ESO community as players had begun pointing it out. The issue with this, of course, is that players are concerned that this is going to be a new trend. It's very common for ESO Plus subscribers to get discounts on crown store purchases, but they've never locked a purchase behind the subscription. I personally see this as an issue for a couple of reasons. Firstly being that some people don't have ESO Plus because they can't afford it or they don't want to pay for it. but they might buy crowns on occasion, right? I don't know if I'm stretching here, but yeah. If they continue locking crown store purchases behind ESO Plus in the future, it might make players feel like they have to get a subscription if they want to buy something that they want. The second issue is that this ESO Plus exclusive item in the crown store is not able to be gifted to other players, even if you both have ESO Plus. For those of you who may not be familiar with the game, there is a very common system of trading between players where two players will exchange crowns for gold. Many players who cannot afford to buy crowns will use the gold that they have earned in-game and pay others for crown store items that they'll want. This is a very easy way for players to get things without having to give Zenimax their credit card information. So, of course, you can see why this might be seen as a predatory move on Zenimax's part. It just has the potential to get worse, and I assume that ESO Plus subscriber numbers are down, which honestly doesn't surprise me at all. Now onto a more controversial topic around crown store gifting. Many of you probably remember last year when they disabled the ability for players to gift items in the crown store for a few months. There were many tinfoil hat theories about this, but it ended up being due to fraudulent activity. The fraudulent activity in question was a whole operation of bot farming, selling in-game gold for real money, and then selling crown store items directly for money at an insanely low price. There were many websites where you could find them selling almost anything and everything that you could want in ESO for real money. This is against terms of service, and therefore I will not be showing any examples of websites that still do this, but I'm sure you can imagine they are not that hard to find. I'm no way promoting these websites, and I would actually recommend against giving them your credit card information, as some of them might just be scams. So basically, Zenimax disabled crown store gifting for a few months because people running these operations were probably hurting their crown sales. When I say these sites were selling crown store items for insanely cheap prices, like I'm talking insanely low. Crown store items that cost $15 normally would cost about $2, and items that would cost $60 would be sold by these players for less than $30. I actually had someone who is involved with this business practice reach out to me and give me some more info on how it worked, and this person claimed that they were making a killing off reselling crowns. Again, I won't go into detail as I'm not trying to promote what these people were doing. The reason why I bring this up is because it was obviously profitable for the people reselling the crowns against terms of service, and I suspect it was hurting Zenimax financially. For Zenimax to disrupt the in-game trading system and economy for months, just to try to stop these resellers, shows what lengths they'll go through to keep a firm hold on those overpriced crown sales. Of course, what these people were doing was wrong, and they were potentially scamming players, but I'm sure reselling things is a common practice in other MMOs, and I don't think some developers would go through such lengths just to stop it. The final point I want to touch on is the price of chapters, or expansions for those of you who don't know the terminology. So ESO gets a new chapter every year. If you want access to the best new features, items, gear, etc., you have to buy it. Remember that I mentioned that ESO Plus subscription includes all the previous chapters from the previous years. So if you're someone who can wait a whole year to get it for free, then that's no problem, right? But most players don't want to wait, including myself. So every year the standard edition of the expansion is $40 US. That doesn't seem that bad, right? Well, the base game is still $20 US, and if you really want to enjoy your time playing the game, you'd be better off paying the $15 monthly subscription as well. I would like to compare this to Guild Wars 2, which I've not played personally, but I have spoken to friends about it. Guild Wars 2 is a comparatively sized MMO in terms of population. Guild Wars 2 is free to play, and their most recent expansion is only $25 US. There's also no monthly subscription fee, and they do have a cash shop, as expected. So when you compare ESO to other MMOs, things look a little bit different in my opinion. So now that we've talked about all this stuff, you're probably thinking, Azura, why is this such a big issue? Isn't it all just cosmetics and quality of life stuff? You don't have to buy it if you don't want to. Zenimax needs to make money somehow. And to that I say, you don't understand the fundamental issue with the game itself. For those of you who have not played ESO, I can understand why you don't understand, but I'm sure many of you casual and veteran players of ESO know exactly what I'm talking about. To simplify this, I'll just say ESO has a terrible in-game reward system. Like any game, ESO has achievements that reward you for your efforts in-game. Some are obviously basic, but there are others that take way more time, skill, or effort to get. There are very few meaningful rewards that players can earn from achievements. Some of the harder ones award players with mounts, while other difficult ones give you little to nothing at all. Some of the easier achievements also give you very little, so the players who are unable to do harder content in the game don't get much either. Now, okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit. It's not like there aren't any rewards from completing in-game content, but the ratio of items in the Crown Store to the in-game reward system is incredibly low. So low, in fact, that I actually did some grueling research to get some data on this. I will just put a disclaimer, however. I collated this data a little while ago, and they have added more items to the Crown Store and a few more rewards in-game, so take these numbers more as an approximation. While they aren't bulletproof accurate, they should still give a rough idea on how much focus is on the Crown Store. Let's start with the most important thing first, mounts. There are over 500 total mounts available in ESO. Mounts are very important to players, and they seem to be the most popular cosmetic item, and some of them can look pretty cool. They have shiny effects, cool sounds, bright colors, and come in all different shapes and sizes, from horses to dwarven constructs to guar and everything in between. When collecting data, I put the mounts into two categories. Mounts you can buy from the Crown Store or you get from Crown Crates, and mounts that you can earn through gameplay from achievements, events, daily rewards, or purchased with gold. So we have over 500 mounts total, right? Well, only 5% of these mounts are free. No, trust me, I am not bullshitting you. That means 95% of the mounts available in ESO are paid for with real money, and that's the only way you can get them. I hope this shocks many of you because it definitely shocked me when I did the calculations on this. I knew that there were very little mounts available to players for free, but yeah, this is bad. Another couple things I looked at were character skins and personalities. These are somewhat popular cosmetic items as well. Out of all the skins available in the game, only 30% of them are earned through gameplay, and out of all the personalities, about 35% of them are earned through gameplay. There are quite a few other cosmetics that can be earned through gameplay or purchased in the Crown Store, and I wish I could have collected the data on everything, but I just don't have the time for that mammoth task. I would speculate the trend we saw with this data would be similar to everything else, again showing that Zenimax has put such a focus on selling things instead of giving players rewards for putting time and effort into the game. The ESO community has been asking Zenimax for years for more focus on in-game rewards, and have become increasingly frustrated that Zenimax fills the Crown Store with things that could have been rewarded to players instead. I would love to go over the nuances and deeper issues, over the lack of rewards in gameplay, and I might save that for another video. I know a few other ESO content creators have covered this issue in more detail, so I will put some links below. Now let's touch a little bit more on criticism from the player base. I know I've already mentioned this quite a lot, but the fans of the game have been very vocal about these issues around monetization and the game structure. From the official forums to YouTube to Twitch to Twitter to Facebook to Reddit, anywhere you look, there's people talking about how tired they are of the Crown Store, Crown Crates, and the predatory monetization that Zenimax has been focusing more and more on over the years. Monetization aside, players have asked Zenimax for better rewards, better game features, better changes, bug fixes, and more PvP content. Oh, don't even get me started on PvP. I'm sure those of you who feel strongly about it can pop off in the comments for me, so I don't have to rant about it myself. The point I'm trying to make here is that the player base speaks, but Zenimax doesn't listen. Communication from Zenimax has been pretty poor overall as well, with the community managers not really doing much to manage the community, and many fans of the game being moderated or silenced when it comes to a lot of issues. Gina Bruno, the lead community manager, is silent when it comes to a lot of issues. The community cries out for answers or a response or something, but there's no attempt made to rectify situations. Personally, I think a community manager should be out there constantly representing the company through thick and thin. A good community manager would communicate with the fans, and if something went wrong, they should have the ability to say, hey, we messed up, we're sorry, but we hear you and we're going to change things. But I rarely see that happening. All I see the community managers doing is trying to sell you stuff.
Let's find out more about the various additions and pre-purchase rewards for the Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road with community managers Jess and Kevin.
Hi everyone, I'm Jess Folsom, ESO's lead community manager, and I'm joined by my fellow community manager, Kevin Bully. We're here to tell you a little more about the new Gold Road chapter, its additions, and pre-purchase rewards.
You can pre-purchase the chapter right now, but first, let's talk about the different versions of Gold Road. Whichever edition of Gold Road you choose, there are several pre-purchase rewards you can unlock. For a limited time, if you pre-purchase Gold Road,
you can pre-purchase the Elder Scrolls Online Gold Road right now.
And speaking of moderation, Zenimax is so strict with the forums that I've seen many users get their posts deleted because Zenimax doesn't like what they said. This has never happened to me personally, but I've seen many screenshots over the years of warnings from forum moderators telling someone that their valid criticism was bashing or harassment. There are quite a few posts on the ESO subreddit detailing people's posts being removed and being banned for being critical, and I'll throw a few up on the screen now. If you make any complaint about the game or claim Zenimax is not doing something right, it's a big no-no in their eyes, and honestly, as much as I hate Reddit, I would recommend going there if you want to see real opinions on the game, as Zenimax can't censor things there. Another thing I find funny is that the Twitch chat is heavily moderated during the official ESO live streams. It is so heavily moderated that even mentioning the word PvP will get your chat message instantly deleted, even if it was a valid question or statement. The mods will also delete any messages that they don't see as positive, again, even if it's completely valid and non-inflammatory. Zenimax goes through great lengths to make sure that the only discussion around their game is positive, and I witnessed this myself on Twitter. They hide replies on their posts if they don't like them, and I know this because they've removed replies made by yours truly. I'm sure Zenimax, if they had the ability to delete this video, they would do it in a heartbeat. Now, going back to what we kind of talked about at the start, to once again stress the differences between Zenimax at launch and Zenimax now, and to sum this video all up, I present you with another quote from Matt Fryer. He said back in 2013, "Having been in MMOs for a very long time, I know and understand that community very well, and that is a very vocal community, a lot of the time vocal critics of what you're doing. But those people who take the time to pick your game apart, and sometimes they tell you things you didn't know was wrong with the game, those are the people you want playing your game, because they're the people most invested in your game because they care enough about it to complain. The worst situation for a game community to be in is where no one posts on the boards because they don't care. If they post on the boards, they care, even if they're not being so polite about it. But that's a fact of life. You're an internet game, you're on the internet, you have an internet community. And the internet community is always very vocal. So what do you learn from it? You make sure you do the best job to deliver the best game that you can, and you go from there."
That one didn't age quite so well.
And to finish this video off, I was going to cover Zenimax's statements on monetization in the game, and I am so thrilled to leave you all with a clip of creative director Rich Lambert, who summed it all up perfectly himself. Take it away, Rich.
Tough question. How do I feel about ZOS taking advantage of new players? By promoting things like... It's not free in-game, Captain Crunchy. I don't understand why this comes up anytime we do something like Werewolf and Vampire Bites, or when we do respecs. It's not taking advantage of anything. You know, for some people, making gold is ridiculously easy. For other people, it's really, really, really hard. And some people just want to do respecs out in the wild, away from the rededication shrines. You know, I really, really, really wish people would stop going, ZOS are evil, bad people. Anytime anything comes up that they don't like, it happens every single time. Every time. And it's not exploitive. You don't have to buy it. right? You know, if you think it's too expensive, don't buy it. It's okay. That's fair, right? You know, if you think a house is too expensive, don't buy it. But as soon as you start throwing the whole, you're exploiting us, you're taking advantage of us, you know, I'm just going to call a spade, and that's just utter fucking bullshit. You know? It really, really bothers me when I hear people go off about that kind of stuff. Like, as you can tell, it really, really bothers me. Like, really bothers me. You know, the Crown Store is there for convenience, but it's asymmetric information, especially for new players. Here, look at this. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you something really simple. Watch this. You go into help. You type in respec. Look, there's a thing in here that says rededication. Do you want to do this thing? Here's exactly where you can go and find these things. I don't understand how that's exploitive. It's in the game. It's been in the game forever. All you have to do is go look. Not trying to make you mad. No. I don't want anybody to think that I'm attacking them. I hear this all the time. The internet complains loudly about it. I get people from the team coming to me and going, oh my gosh, the internet is exploding because we made this decision. And I'm like, relax. So I've had this conversation a lot. But it does bug me when people are like, you're a bunch of greedy fucks. Internet lost his freaking mind when you offered sky shards and quest lines in the store. Yeah, they did, Sweatherbean. They absolutely did. Absolutely did. People that complain like that are savage beasts. And you know what soothes the beast? Music. Hey, play Bard Me. You can play ESO extremely well without spending a dime on it outside of your initial purchase. Though I would say I don't know how people live without craft bag. I am savage. Sometimes. Man, I get really tired of being called a greedy bastard. Just saying. Really tired. Sometimes you have to make some decisions on monetization that that will set people off about that. And it's a necessary evil, right? Like,
That was Rich Lambert, everyone, creative director over at Zenimax. Thank you, Rich. I couldn't have said it better myself. My favorite part was when you said, "You're a bunch of greedy fucks." Well, if you made it this far, I just want to thank you very much. Hopefully this has given you some insight onto Zenimax Online Studios, regardless if you've played The Elder Scrolls Online or not. I really don't think I need to share my thoughts on this, but I would love to hear yours. Do you guys think Zenimax is unfairly monetizing their game, or if there are some points that you maybe disagreed with? Do you have anything else you want to add to the discussion? There is a lot I could have covered in this video, but I think it's long enough, and I appreciate you guys sitting through it without me having to put Subway Surfers like in the corner or something to keep you stimulated. I want to thank you all for watching. The extensive list of sources is in the description. Please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and share it with your friends if you want to spread the message. Please go give me a follow on Twitter if you want to keep up with me, and ring the bell if you want to be notified when I post a new video. I've got some more big things coming, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching, and have a good one. The contrast between 2015 and 2023 is very apparent. Well, actually it's 2024. Of course, every MMO is going to have a cash shop, it's just kind of inevitable. Of course, every MMO has a cash shop, it's just something that's inevitable. Jesus Christ. There's a bug in here. Fuck. Why can't I read? Fuck!